Hello and welcome to Simon Says Artwork. In this video I'm going to be doing my fourth installment of the Inktober challenge. I'm drawing with my left hand because my right hand is still injured at the moment. I'll still be drawing my little black book, and last time I did some faces, so this time I think I'm going to do some rooftops. So okay, let's get started. Okay, hello and welcome to the fourth installment of Learning to Draw with my left hand. Now, my right hand is healing. I must admit it's not hurting like it was, so I don't know if I really snapped a ligament. It certainly felt like it. And when I first woke up the next day after doing this injury, it felt as though someone had pierced a knife through both of my fingers, and now it seems to have healed to where it's only a very dull ache, and I've not been using the fingers to do anything. I mean, that sounds like a weird expression, but I've barely been using my right hand, and if I am, then I'm using my ring finger and little finger clawed with the thumb. This might be more information than you care to know, but this is where the injury is at the moment. So it's almost healed by the feels of it, and I'm still going to commit to drawing with my left hand and learning how to do that, because it's going to be tricky and it's going to make this interesting. So for this Inktober installment, I decided to do rooftops. There's no photo reference. It's drawing from my imagination, which is going to yield some limitations. That's usually the case, but that's part of why the growth is so important. And I start with the rooftop up close, and because I couldn't draw it straight due to being my left hand, I thought I'll just do a weird skewed angle, and it shouldn't look too wrong because this is all going to look as though it's through a wide angle lens or maybe even a fisheye lens. But the point being that it's not too bad, and it should be something where I can get away with it because it's showing something really up close to kind of scale what the foreground looks like compared to the midground and the background. And everything else that I draw is midground until I get above the line of these roofs and what's behind those, and that's what I'd consider to be background. So a lot of this is based on the houses that I see locally, where you have bay windows in the, for the living room at the front of the house. Sometimes you have little garages. I forgot to do chimneys a lot. There's barely any chimneys, but I did remember that when it came to the background. So for the time being, I'm doing a lot of these little pointy things that happen on the, what do you call it? Is it the apex? It's not the apex. It's the, I don't know, my mind's gone blank. But on the very corner of the A-frame, I can't remember the word. You know what I mean, guys. At the very front of the house, you've got like this little pointy, almost ornament-looking thing. I think I forced that perspective there. You see that one which I've just done? I don't think you'd be able to see the top of that house, but it doesn't really hurt. I'm literally just trying to create a bit of a sense of height. And it's not the worst thing because you can see the top of the roof at the very bottom of the page. Maybe the one which I drew a moment ago isn't the worst thing, but a lot of this is just trying to wing it and create something. Just like that roof there, that weird flat top roof. I don't really know what that's all about. It doesn't really look like any of the houses that I've seen locally, but I thought it's going to vary it up a little bit because I am drawing a hell of a lot of the same shapes. And I had a little bit of shadow to some of the I'm going to call it A-frames. I don't know if it is A-frame. I really can't remember the word, but yeah, I've been adding a little bit of shadow to some of those if they seem really skewed. I don't know if that angle's correct for the roof, and this one's certainly wrong there. You see how I've done like a weird sloping angle? So I correct that there and I start to force some of the details a bit differently just so that it looks a little bit more straight and believable. But it is very ropey, and I think part of that problem is because it's with my left hand. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I'd make this much of a mess with my right hand, but I'll have to test that when Inktober's over. Because for the remainder of the Inktober challenge, as I've said in previous videos, is going to be done with my left hand, because I'd like to train my left hand to be as good as my right hand at drawing, and do a drawing with both hands at the same time. Now, ironically, what could happen is that after a month of drawing with my left hand, I might get bad at drawing my right hand. I don't know if that's going to be true or not. I'm sure I've taken a month off before and I'm right-handed, so I don't know, that would be weird. It'd just be ironic if that happened, where I don't know if it's even irony, but if I do that for this challenge and then all of a sudden my hand has changed for drawing, it'd be funny anyway. So to cover up some of the space, I do flat top roofs, as if it could be garages or porches, or I don't know, just some kind of an extension. And then I'm literally just trying to think of any variation and trying to not go too experimental with the shapes, because I want this to work and to look like legitimate depth of houses. So this is what I consider to be the background now, because it's all going quite small. I'm drawing tiny little boxes for windows and doors, and it's all squiggly lines, but I must admit, for my left hand, I'm quite glad that I have this much control, even though I've started to realise how tricky it is to do horizontal lines, and I just don't seem to have very good control for certain lines. I think maybe I'm drawing too fast. That's a comment which someone made recently, which I do think they're correct, and I've really struggled to slow down. Much like this commentary, I feel like I'm talking non-stop instead of taking a breath and watching the drawing, but I don't know, maybe it's the time lapse. But the point being, I tried to go full speed ahead to get it all done, not because I don't enjoy it, but because I want to see where I can get, and that's it. Okay, that is the drawing done. Now, it wasn't quite as easy as I thought it would be. With doing the abstract drawings, I thought I've got the lines and the diagonals and this, that and the other, and with the faces, I thought if I went slow, I'd get some kind of steady lines and some control with the pen. But it was really tricky. I have to admit, I was really doing squiggly lines, but I think it's still quite an interesting picture. I think it's got its parts to it which are quite nice. It's quite hard to focus on this picture from that, but you can kind of see it there. So I've been doing rooftops. This is from my imagination, so that's why it's not exactly very varied really well. You know, it's kind of a lot of repeated ideas and patterns. It's because I really couldn't conjure up what happens in a landscape. There was no trees in there or anything, for example. There's no churches, and I just couldn't think of these things at the time. Even though it took a while to draw it, I wasn't, really conjuring up lots of different variations. So it turned out the way that it did, but I still think it's okay. I thought I'd leave this line at the top, because otherwise, if it's all rooftops, it'd just go really small back here. So I thought instead, if I just do it with a bit of space, then it might make the rest of this look quite interesting and a bit of depth. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.